Welcome to the Confident Retirement Podcast. How confident are you when it comes to life's biggest money decisions? What is real financial peace and how can you get it? Chris Flaming and Mark Peachy are the founders of LPF Advisors in Sarasota, Florida. They bring together the brightest minds to show you how to have a more confident financial future. They empower listeners with common sense concepts and financial wisdom. And now, here are your hosts, LPF Advisors. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our pre-recorded session for Moderna employees. This one is on your stock options and RSU plan, your equity selection, or YES. And I'm Chris Flaming. I'm one of the co-owners of LPF Advisors. And I have with me Collin, who is our resident Moderna expert dude. So he's going to be primarily doing the workshop. I'm just going to chime in when necessary. We do live versions of this where we have Q&A, so make sure you check on our website for those dates and times. And feel free to reach out to contact us. The stuff we'll go over today is very general in nature, but we do offer complimentary consultations where you can get one-on-one help from one of our advisors specific to your particular situation. Okay, so just a couple things before we get started. General disclaimer, the stuff we're going to go over today is for informational purposes. It's educational in nature. It's meant to be very general. And the info is not intended to try to induce you to retire or cash out or exercise or make investments with us or any other financial institution. You should always check with your advisor, your tax advisor, your financial advisor, or your attorney before you do any of that because they have a good idea of your overall situation.
Sure.
All right, and then topics today, we'll talk about what the plan is on a high level. Then we'll go into some more detailed info on the stock options and the RSUs, talk about what they are, how they work, and what the differences are. We'll do some comparisons. We'll talk about some common mistakes that people make in relationship to these types of investment vehicles. Then we'll briefly talk about who we are and how we might be able to help, and then any possible next steps that you might want to take.
Perfect. Thanks, Chris. Righty, everybody. My name's Collin. Most of you know me, and I am a certified financial planner with LPF Financial Advisors, and we focus everything Moderna. We've been doing that for a number of years now, but what we want to focus on is help answering those questions that we get all the time. What's the difference between the stock options and the RSUs? How are they taxed? So on and so forth. So let's jump into it. The stock option plans, they're really a long-term incentive plan that Moderna offers us that allows you to gain some of the fruits of your labor, gives you ownership stake in Moderna stock, and lets you choose how you want to receive that stock. So we have a couple of options available to us. We have the stock options and the restricted stock units, and it's completely separate from your 401k, despite how the Fidelity website looks. It's completely separate. It's just another savings tool that a lot of you have to help gain that financial security. And a lot of the questions that we get surround the stock options plans. So what is the equity selection? It is an opportunity for us to receive awards from Moderna based on performance, based on how the company's doing. And these awards vest over time. So as we know, we don't get them all in 1 year. And once they're vested or exercised, these shares of stock are ours to do whatever we want with. We can keep them, hold on to them, or we can decide to sell them as they come in, all based on your financial strategy. How we receive these rewards is totally up to you and your financial situation. So we can receive them all as stock options, or we can do a combination of both. But if you don't make an election during the beginning of the year, the default option is 75% stock options and 25% RSUs, and there are no partial shares. Whichever you choose, it will have consequences down the road, whether it's good or bad. But overall, we want to help you make these decisions based on your financial situation, not what the person eating lunch next to you says. Alrighty, so your stock options, what are they? So they allow you to buy shares at a pre-established fixed price, also known as the exercise price. So those of you that were with Moderna prior to 2020 when COVID happened, some of you may have shares at $12, $17. We like to call you guys the old money. But if you came on around 2020, you might have shares around $70. But overall, what that means is that you have the right to buy the stock at those given prices. So there's two elements that fall into this. So the price is based off of a 20-day stock trading price to the grant date. And the conversion value of the stock options and RSUs is anywhere between 1.5 stock options to 2.5 stock options equal 1 RSU. So the RSUs will typically have or hold more internal value based on how the stock options are calculated. How are these vested? We get 25% a year for 4 years. And that first year is nice because we get a 25% vest. But every year after that, we will get 6.25% every quarter for the next 3 years. And those stock options have to be vested before you exercise them. And they'll typically expire within 10 years from when they were received. So how do we exercise them? When we exercise them, we're basically buying those shares of stock at that exercise price that we received them at. And that's when they become actual shares of Moderna. So you can exercise and hold, or you can exercise and immediately sell those shares of stock. The current price must be higher than the grant price to have value. So that fair market value, let's say it's trading at $200. Your exercise price should be anywhere under that $200 to make sure that those options have value. The market price the day that you take action is also called the exercise price or fair market value. And you will receive the fair market value minus the exercise price along with some taxes and the cost to exercise those options. All right, let's jump into RSUs. What are they? So the RSUs are equal to 1 full share of Moderna stock. Now, you don't have control of when these vest, and you don't control when you have to pay taxes on these, because as they vest, that's when you pay taxes on it. The way I like to explain it to people is you can picture Moderna just offering you a bonus, but in the form of a stock. So they vest on the same schedule as the stock options. And at vest, they become actual shares of Moderna that we can either keep or we can sell. Those shares of stock, there's a big confusion around where they go. You do have an individual brokerage account at Fidelity that once those shares vest, you will see those shares leave your RSU account and go into the individual brokerage account on your Fidelity website. And then what? What do? There's no restrictions on what you can do with that stock. Like I said, you can give it away. You can sell it, or you can keep it until it reaches a different price. You may want to diversify and use that cash elsewhere. Maybe you have a home renovation, or you want to diversify into the market somewhere else. But you do have a number of options available to you. If held, they have value as long as Moderna stock does. So unlike the stock options that have a 10-year expiration date, this stock does not expire, and you can hold it until you're 100 years old. So let's put it all together. If you choose 50% stock options and 50% RSUs, you receive a $50,000 award. You would get $25,000 worth of options and $25,000 worth of RSUs, but that doesn't mean you get the same number of each. Going back to what we were talking about before, where a stock option might be worth 1.5 times less than an RSU, 1.5 times more than an RSU, you will receive more of those than you will in an RSU. So if we assume a 20-day average price of $100 and our exercise price is $125, and the Black-Scholes, not to get too deep into the weeds, but that's how they value those stock options and come up with that specific number of shares that will vest for you, that you will be granted. So how many will you receive of each award? For the stock options, if we take the award value of $25,000 and then divide it by the 20-day average and the Black-Scholes value, we would receive 55 stock options.
555.
555. Thank you. Thank you. The RSUs, if we have 25,000, we divide that by 100, which is the average price. We would get 250 RSUs. So if we take the stock options in year 5 and the Moderna stock was at $200, the way we come up with number one is the tax that you would pay on exercising this. You would have to take the 555 options, and multiply it by the difference between the fair market value and the exercise price. So when you go ahead and you make that trade and you exercise this stock, you will be taking $41,625 and you will have to pay taxes on that. But that is the gross amount before taxes and any cost to buy comes out. So the value of options rise and fall with Moderna stock price. We want to make sure that when we do exercise these stock options, that the fair market value is higher than the exercise price, or else we would be buying the stock at a higher price than what the actual fair market value is. RSUs. So upon vesting, these shares are converted to stock and deposited into your Fidelity account. So if we assume a 10% increase every year, this is all hypothetical, no guarantees. The first anniversary, we would get $8,525 worth of stock. And in that second year, with that 10% increase, we would get another $9,377, and then so on until we reach that 4th anniversary where that final lot vests, and we should have a total of $39,914. All right, so let's compare, because I know this can be complicated. The biggest thing is, well, which one should we choose? There's no answer to say, there's no blanket answer to say one person should choose X, Y, or Z. But we will say each stock option's value is all based on an increase in stock price after the grant date. And I keep saying it, but we want to make sure that fair market value is always higher than that exercise price. Each RSU's value, it's all based on the current market price of Moderna at a given time. So it always has value. If you're granted Moderna stock at $200 and it drops down to $180, there's still internal value in that stock, and it's okay to hold on to it. Flexibility. So for the stock options, you can exercise it when you choose. And it also plays a factor in the taxes and how we plan for taxes. The stock options, we don't pay taxes until those stock options are exercised. We can hold on to them for the 10 years, and if we don't exercise them until that 10th year, we don't pay any taxes until those are actually exercised in that 10th year. With the RSUs, once they vest, that's when we pay tax on it. So what does that mean? If I get $20,000 worth of RSUs that vest in 2024, I know for a fact that $20,000 of income is going to be added to my W-2 for this year. So we have to plan for that. There's no control on timing or distribution, but we can pick when and if we want to sell those RSUs. So factors that impact the value. If Moderna stocks rises significantly from the grant price or the exercise price, that's when those stock options have internal value. On the RSU side, those RSUs always have value, even if it's lower than what we were granted the stock at. So common mistakes. Number one, forgetting those expiration deadlines. So a lot of you that have received options in the 2016 to 2018, We're coming up on expiration in a couple years, but overall, we want to make sure that we're cognizant of when those stock options are due to expire. Number two is not understanding the difference between the options and the RSUs. And what we mean by that is when you can exercise, how are we taxed on it? Number three is concentration risk. So a lot of people fall into this bucket and not realizing that, hey, 80 to 90% of our net worth might be tied up in everything Moderna. So we have our 401k, we have the stock options. We want to consider what our outside investments are doing to make sure there's no overlap adding to that over concentration of Moderna stock. Exercise and sell choices based solely on the stock price. We get this question all the time. Well, once it hits 200, I want to sell. Or once it hits 300, I want to sell. There's no guarantees that we're able to get to that price or that the stock will hit that price. So we don't want the stock price to dictate what we do with our shares. We want our financial plan to dictate what we do with our shares. Not knowing the tax consequences. So I know a lot of people have ran into the circumstance where they were surprised that they owed tax this year because they had RSUs that vested that were part of their W-2 ordinary income, and they didn't realize it. So we have to plan around this cash flow. Options, ordinary income tax. This is equal to the fair market value price and exercise price. Sorry, the difference between the fair market value price and the exercise price. That's what will be added to your income for this year. And it makes it a little bit easier for us to plan when we decide to sell stock options because we can control that cash flow as opposed to the RSUs where we just have to know that it's going to be added to our W-2 income.
Mm-hmm.
So last but not least is emotional. And we kind of touched on this before, the fear of missing out and deciding to sell solely based on the stock price. If we let our emotions control what we do, we're most likely going to not do anything because we're not sure of where the stock is going to go. So we want our goals and our financial plan to dictate what we're doing with those stock options or those RSUs. So our dedicated approach. So what we want to do is we want to find out what is the long-term goal for you and your family, establish a plan, help you review that plan, and implement that plan over the course of your lifetime. So we're not here to be one-off advisors. We have long-term relationships with all of our clients to make sure that we're here to guide them from today all the way through to retirement and make sure that they're enjoying what's most important to them. So what is the advantage of working with LPF advisors? Well, number one is we specialize in everything Moderna, as Chris and I discussed beforehand. We have a specialty in stock option and RSU planning. So cash flow analysis, helping you plan for taxes, working with your tax accountant to help figure out what we may or may not owe at the end of the year after exercising. We also help you with your 401k and investment guidance. So what is your risk score? How much risk should we be taking on? And how does that play into our current investment lineup? Do we have too much tied up in Moderna stock? Do we not have enough saved for retirement? These are all the questions that we can help you answer and help you determine how to go about fixing it. And comprehensive wealth oversight. So a lot of people may think, hey, we just do investment management, but the short of it is we help people with all things financial, whether it be estate planning, tax planning, figuring out how much your kid may need to pay for college. But we have a plethora of different strategies to help you reach any goal that you have financially. So how can we help before retirement? On a day-to-day basis, we do free consultations to see where you're at now and where it is that you're trying to go, help you understand your situation, evaluate any risks or any gaps that we see and help you address those. And we want to be a free resource for all of you and your colleagues and employees to make sure that we all understand what is going on with RSUs, stock options, anything that's financial in your life. We want to assist you with your retirement transition. So it doesn't stop at retirement. We want to help you manage your investments and your retirement income once we get there. And we want to help be the guidance for life's big decisions. I like this slide just to show a little bit about what we do, because like I said, a lot of people think, oh, well, financial advisors only help with investment management, but we do more than just that. We can help you figure out the risks that you might be taking on. We can help you with retirement and income planning. So doing a lot of that cash flow analysis when it comes to your stock options, or we can talk to you about any family affairs, taxes in retirement, tax efficient investing, or even financial education for your kids. So final thoughts for going forward. We want to help you plan for your future and help you think about things that you may not be thinking about, whether it be deciding when to retire. Do you have the questions on if you'll have enough money? Or do you fully want to retire? Because we all know at Moderna, it's go, go, go. So once you leave, what is it that you want to achieve in your life other than being a Moderna employee? So when you're choosing an advisor, you're choosing a partner. I like to say we like to grow old with our clients. It gets a little giggle out of everybody. But does your advisor or the person that you're meeting with only want to sell you a product? Or are they truly looking out for your best interest? Do you only want investment management? Or do you want help with your whole financial picture? Does the advisor that you're working with know the ins and outs of your 401k and your stock options plans? The biggest question is, am I making decisions aligned with my values and what it is that I'm trying to achieve for the long term? And that's what we're here to assist you with. So if you have questions on your equity set selection, you can always call us. You can reach out to us at lpfadvisors.com. But it's always recommended that you consult with your tax and your financial advisor when considering your choices. But we're here to be a hand-holding guide to make sure that you're making the best decision for you and your family. So like I said, if you want to reach us, you can reach us at lpfadvisors.com and we can schedule your complimentary appointment today. Chris,
Collin, go back. Yeah, just go back one more slide.
Yeah.
If you want more information on the plan, like the plan document, and you wanted to check your account status where you have information on your awards and stuff, that's the website that we see here, the Moderna Yes. And the custodian for the stock options, like Collin mentioned before, is Fidelity, where you could do a login there and you could see both your 401k and also your individual brokerage account, which is the place where those would be held.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So Collin mentioned this is pre-recorded. We're using this for distribution to people that can attend one of our live events, but we do those on a regular basis. We have Q&A, and you always can avail yourself to contacting us directly to set up a specific consultation where you can get your one-on-one questions answered and talk about your specific situation. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I know we went over a lot of information. It was very high level, but hopefully we demonstrated our education and skill level with this. Moderna is a particular company and niche that we work with on a regular basis. So we do know the plan inside and out and what's involved in decisions that you have to make. We'd be happy to help. So thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thank you.
And take care. Thanks, Collin.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Confident Retirement Podcast with Chris and Mark from LPF Advisors. For more information on them and retiring confidently, please visit lpfadvisors.com. If your ears are pleased and your mind is now at ease, do share the program with your friends and subscribe wherever podcasts are found.